Okay, we are live, I think. So, welcome to today's video. It's always interesting when myself and Dan have chats because we discuss topics, and there's so many topics that we can pick and choose from, I suppose, through experiences. But some of the best conversations that we have is when Dan's tried something that I haven't, and when I've tried something that Dan hasn't. And we kind of share our experiences and try different things. So do you want to start, Dan, and sort of say what you've been doing that I'd spoken about last time?
Yeah, well, on the last video, the last time we talked, yeah, we ended it with you talking about your fasting windows of 8 hours, and sorry, you're eating within 8 hours and having 16 hours rest. And then I said to you, like, I'll try it with 16 hours eating and 8 hours rest, and that's the way I've been living anyway for a while. But yeah, I mean, since in this last week, I just went to start off with 12 hours eating and 12 hours of fasting, and it's only been over the weekend. I've changed it from probably like 10 o'clock in the morning is the time I started eating now, rather than 5:30, 6, and then I'm finished by 7 at night. So I've got it down to 9 hours of eating and then having 15 hours of rest.
How do you feel?
So,
I'm really interested to know how you feel.
yeah, I'm sleeping a lot better. Even though, I was sleeping okay. I was sleeping good anyway. But I'm waking up naturally now, rather than I'm beating the alarm.
Yeah.
So I'm getting up that early. I'm fine. I've got that half an hour in the morning now to just get straight on the weights or on the floor, like, and do some stuff down there.
Yeah.
So I am energized, and then I'm still obviously getting in the showers and stuff after, and then obviously making breakfast, taking it with me, and then only eating probably from after 10, 11 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then I feel better. Yeah, I feel better from it.
Do you find that you're more switched on? In the morning, I find with fasting that sort of during the morning, I'm a lot more, I don't know, just mentally alert, mentally aware that, if someone threw I'm crap at maths, by the way. I'm not very good at maths, but if someone threw an equation at me, I'd be like, boom, and sort of ping it back to them. That's how I feel. Have you had any of that yet?
I've been like that anyway, to be honest. Always been very observant, and some people just say stuff to me. I've always got a quick reaction, and sometimes not an appropriate response, but I've never had an issue with that kind of thing before.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
I just feel that just a bit more up and go.
Yeah, bit more energy, etc. So I think, interestingly, when fasting is around about the 14, 18 hours after your last meal, so two hours to go, there's a process called autophagy, if I'm pronouncing that right, and it's basically where your cells start to eat themselves and regenerate. So it's as science gets more advanced, there is actually science now that says, this process, this part of what your body is doing, is regenerating these cells, is actually a fantastic way of regenerating and starting again, and essentially extending your life. I know that sounds a bit extreme, but there is science behind it now, and that's not why I do it. Don't get me wrong. Longevity isn't what I'm doing it for, but I think that feeling that you said, you feel more switched on, you wake up easier, and this is without any exercise as well. So I know I bang on about the one thing, 1%. What's the one thing that you're going to do? And that is important. It might be, I'm going to go for a walk today, and I might go and speak to a friend that I've not spoken to. So them 1%ers are really interesting. But fasting, you know, call it whatever you want. But if you eat within that 8-hour window and have 16 hours where you're just drinking water, you know, no tea, no sugary drinks, you know, just water and fasting in that phase, you do feel a lot better, a lot better. And interestingly, you spoke about last week, I think it was last week when you spoke, or the week before, you spoke about cold showers. And I had a bit of a giggle because I said I'm too much of a wuss to try cold showers. But interestingly, you know, I had my hair cut yesterday, which is made me feel so much better. You know, and call it vanity, call it whatever you want. You know, when you look in the mirror, and I'm a big advocate of this. When you look in the mirror and you just don't feel quite right, or you know, you have to work harder at feeling that kind of plateau phase. When I've had my hair cut, I look in the mirror now, I'm like, yeah, it's great, and that's just having a trim. You know, it's just having a trim. But yesterday I had a haircut and went to the gym this morning. And I was stood in the cubicle. I knew we'd got this video chat tonight, and I thought, yeah, dare I switch the shower to stone cold? And I was kind of there, and I washed my hair, and I just thought, yeah, sorry, let's go for it. So I whacked it on cold, and I was like, you know, proper breathing.
Yeah.
But for them split few minutes, I mean, I did it for about 2 minutes, I think I counted for. But that's all.
Nice.
That's all that.
That's a good start.
That's all that was going on. And I actually felt, coming out of the shower, I felt rejuvenated, you know, better, more mentally alert. So thank you for that. I think that was a great experience. Anyone that's watching this, I'd highly recommend it if you fancy a bit of a, you know, 1% challenge, call it. You know, I'm going to continue to do it. It's great fun.
It is, and do you know what? When you've just said you've done 2 minutes there, that's a good start. Very good start, actually. I was thinking maybe, you know, to start off with 30 seconds and go from there. So to go straight into 2 minutes, I mean, that's good going, like.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a all or nothing kind of person, so it's kind of jumping at the deep end or don't do anything at all. So yeah, it was really interesting. But sorry, go on.
Is there anything else over the last couple of weeks that you've tried like that from talking?
I think interestingly, like, you know, you've got some really good points. So your awareness of advertising and subtle subconscious messages, you know, advertising messages. So you're on about Netflix, weren't you? You know, obviously not that we are publicizing in any way, shape or form, or you know, criticizing in any way, but some of the emails that you were receiving, you were like, you know, just leave me alone, you know, just kind of stop bombarding me, stop sending me these messages, because and I think you sent me another one regarding, or I'd seen that you posted something regarding, was it McDonald's offering credit or buy now pay later or something for your fast food,
eats and delivery and all that lot.
Yeah, and I just thought, you know, that's a really dangerous sort of situation that we're heading in. Dangerous for a couple of reasons. Number one, for the fact that, you know, if you can't afford a good meal, and food doesn't have to be expensive, by the way, then to substitute a good meal, a good nutritious meal, for fast food on credit, that doesn't sit comfortably with me, and I don't think it does with you, which is why you posted what you posted. And I suppose there was a lot of criticism around like the food parcels that the government were giving out. But from what I understand, that some of the food parcels were actually, you could create meals out of these things. And interestingly, my brother is an excellent chef, and he runs a business called Feasted. Feasted is it's heavily involved with the community, with education around food, with with understanding food in a better way, as well as the eloquent dining that he offers and different things like that. So one of his lockdown videos, he posted, he got a food parcel, and there was things in there. I can't remember exactly what they were, but there was carrots and milk and different bits and bobs.
Like a pasta.
Yeah, and he created these meals, and he's on Facebook. It's Feasted. He's on YouTube and Insta. So if anyone wants to go and check that out, but essentially that was just taking a couple of pounds worth of raw ingredients and turn them into some fantastic meals. So food doesn't have to be expensive, and if people are relying on food banks and different things for for the families, because this last year has been really, really tough. The last thing that I'd want anyone to do is go out and get fast food on credit. It just because you're ultimately then in debt to fast food. Fast food owes us so much. It owes us so much as a society. We're one of the highest rates of obesity, and I think if not the highest in Europe. We're one of the highest in the world, and it's scary.
It will be, yeah.
It's really, really scary. So to be in debt to fast food, they should be in debt to us, not the other way around. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So I think it's, if anyone wants some ideas in terms of culinary ideas for creating meals out of very, very little budget, etc., then head over and have a look at Feasted. That is definitely and I'm not just saying that because that's a family connection. I'm saying that because he genuinely does some really good things, and is trying to help educate a wider audience for the better. And when I see an advert like you posted, like I see an advert for buy a Big Mac and pay 3 months later or whatever it is, I don't know, it didn't sit comfortably with me, Dan. It didn't sit comfortably with me.
Well, yeah, it doesn't. It's the way things have gone over the last few years. I mean, everybody get sucked into it pretty easy. I mean, there's a lot of things being offered on credit, like cars and catalog stuff, and I've just noticed over the last few years it's got into ridiculous things now, like mobile phones as one, and then I even seen last summer face masks on finance, and I thought, you know what, because it had Hugo Boss on the side of it, so they advertising Hugo Boss face masks and buy now, paying 3 months type of thing, and yeah, that's a different subject altogether. But the thing with what your brother's doing there, I mean, it's brilliant, and it's being creative with that small number of ingredients been given. That's a reward in itself. Being able to take a basic food package and transform it into multiple different meals with. Yeah. Because I did see a picture of them food boxes that got handed out for I think it was the free school meals throughout the summer holidays.
I think it was school meals. Yeah, I think it was related around school meals.
And you're seeing like a couple of apples, a few carrots, a bag of pasta, a couple of tins of tuna, that type of thing. And I did look at it myself, and I thought, you've got to be skilled to be able to do something with that, because there wasn't much to play with.
And that's the thing, you see. I think it's the ideas. I don't know about you, but I struggle sometimes because I do all the cooking in our house, and I've got my wife and 2-year-old daughter. So, it's very easy to succumb to whack chips in the oven, or chicken nuggets for the little one, and then make something a little bit more substantial for myself and my wife. More recently, I've tried to make a little bit more portion wise for me and my wife, and then the little girl has, try and give her a little bit of diversity in what she has. It is really difficult sometimes. You open the fridge and go, oh, I've got nothing in. Reality is you've got loads of stuff in. You've got,
Yeah.
it's daft. The one thing I really do hate is food waste. I really kick myself, and I think anyone would be lying if they said they'd never thrown food away because it was out of date or past the sell by. I absolutely hate it. But yeah, Chris has Feasted. So Chris, who runs Feasted, has some phenomenal ideas, and waste doesn't have to be waste. Obviously, if it's mouldy and walking out the door, you kind of let it go out there. But no, there's some really really creative things. Some really creative things. But yeah, I mean that's just one aspect of it. Your food and different things. But going back to the social aspect and the pressures that we feel, and it's very relatable to depression, to anxiety, to low mood. If someone's saying, I'm going to give you this, and in return, you're going to feel good. So it could be a beef burger. It could be a car. It could be something, a present for, your son or your daughter or whatever that is. And naturally, your dopamine in your brain just goes, oh yeah, give me some of that, give me some of that, give me some of that. And all of a sudden you've racked up, you could have racked up tens of £1,000s worth of debt that has to be paid back. And I think we have to be careful as society, and we have to be aware of it. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's evil. Credit is good when it's used in the right way. I think we've all had credit of some form, shape, or size during our lifetime, but it's when you go looking for something and think that it's going to give you that gratitude, that dopamine high,
and happiness.
That dopamine high is going to last forever, because it doesn't. It's very solitary thought. It might last 10 minutes. It might last 10 minutes. I mean, how long does it take you to eat a burger? I don't know.
Seconds. I just inhale it, mate. It's gone.
And then before you know it, you've racked up. If they are offering burgers on credit or whatever it is, you've racked up 30, 40, 50 quid's worth of debt that you have to pay back. It's just, it's criminal. It's criminal.
It's targeting weak people. That's what it is.
But I wouldn't say weak. I wouldn't say weak. I'd just say people who maybe don't know how to think in a different way. And that's part of what we're trying to do is give people a different way of thinking. You suggested to me, go and take a cold shower, and I was like, nah, I'm not doing that. And I didn't for a couple of weeks until today. I mentioned about the fasting, and you've thought in a different way. I've thought in a different way for the cold shower. So when you talk and you share ideas, that's when the creative stuff starts to happen. That's how it works. But I don't know. I mean, I just feel that there's a lot of pressure on people to take out credit, and it doesn't need to be that. It doesn't need to be that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I've been through it all. Like, I've racked up debts that, you know, there were some people it might be a lot of money, for some people it might not be a lot of money, but to me it was unnecessary when I look back now. Like, I was influenced obviously by my partner as well, and you know, it took me a while to pay it off. So when I was paying it, I'd sit there with nothing and keep thinking, how did I fall into this? How did I fall into this? And then you realise pretty quickly that you'll never fall for it again. I mean, once you've been in that, and yeah, I just tried to look at things differently now. I mean, going back to when we were talking about what we've learned from talking so far, like from day one, mate, when you talk about the golf shots. I mean, I went to the Roaches yesterday, and just went and sat off on a big massive rock on the top there. And there was nobody about, it was just me and a couple of hikers walked past every now and then. But I had half an hour sitting on this rock, and I just pictured myself standing there and just smacking golf balls into the distance. Because I could see over Bosley Cloud and over towards Runcorn and over there.
Yeah.
And I just thought, like, you know, and every single, I pictured myself pulling it back and then swinging the club and just seeing the ball going. I was visualising, you know, that perfect hit, really. But every time I was swinging it, I was just doing the breathing in and breathing out. And then I felt so much better after it, just walked away. I didn't need anything else in that moment with me. I was just sat there, and it was a beautiful day yesterday.
Yeah, so, yeah. Well, it was a bit cold, but yeah, it was nice. Yeah.
Yeah, I had to get out and do something, and I thought like that was ideal. I mean, I drove past a few pubs on the way and seen all the people outside and all rushing for this pint, and I thought, nah, there's something about it. I'm just not.
Yeah.
I'm not going for it. I thought I'll go and sit up there and.
That was one of my favourite places to go and just sit and reflect, really, just absolutely soak in, because it's a little bit of a walk before you get up there. I mean, it's not steep in any way, but it's a little bit of a walk, and then you're certainly rewarded when you do sit on that rock. And if it's the same rock that I used to sit on, it's just set back a little bit but higher up, so you can see everything. And yeah, it's beautiful. You know, it's stunning scenery, stunning kind of sunset, whatever you have the opportunity to see up there. But yeah, that was one of my reflection places, and things seem a lot clearer when you do stuff like that. I don't know whether it's the fresh air. You know, when people say, oh, you need to do some breathing because you're uptight, or you're feeling anxious, and do some breathing. You can sit there, but if I sit there in this room, for example, it's familiar surroundings. Sometimes you need to just take yourself out of a situation. So that might be the 1% thing that you do. You know, you just go a different route. If you're doing a lot of walking or running or whatever, do a different route. Change the scenery. Change the way in which you're submersed in your environment. So, and going back to meditation, that's a really powerful thing. And there's so many different ways that you can meditate. So, try something different. It's not going to harm. It's not going to harm you in any way, shape, or form. And if anything, it's actually teaching you a broader horizon, a broader scope of meditation or whatever that may be. But no, that's fantastic. I'm obviously I'm a fan of the Roaches anyway, so that's really interesting that you went up there.
Well, I've used it quite regularly, to be honest. I think that was when I came back in 2016. I started going out on my own and just discovering places like that, and Mam Tor was another one that I really liked going up. But there's something about the Roaches every time. It's the size of the rocks, and you just sit there thinking, like, how did they get here? How? They're bigger than houses, some of them.
Yeah.
You can just climb on them, and you've got 360 views of everywhere. And I used to love going to Bosley Cloud as well on the way to Congleton.
Yeah.
You sit up there, you can see Liverpool on a clear day from there. You can see like 30, 40 miles into the distance, and you know, it's nice just to go sit. I've been doing that for years, but I think yesterday was just, it was the first time I've gone on my own for a long time. I normally have my mates with me or something, and just to sit on my own, and I had hours to just sit there and you know, switch off. And I thought it's different than just being sat on the couch, get up and go.
Yeah.
I even enjoyed the drive on the way there.
Yeah.
You know,
change the environment. Yeah.
Putting the music on, even just I've always loved driving anyway, and I just found that you know, combining the two, have a nice good blast in the car out there, and then have a nice peaceful drive, and then bomb back again. It's just just getting out and doing something different. That 1%, as you mentioned before, and yeah, I mean, I'm looking at little things like that now to do each day, just to take it in a bit different. I mean, yesterday I ordered an old Nokia 106 as well, so I'm going to be spending a lot less time, you know, on WhatsApp and looking at Sky Sports News and all that kind of thing, because I find even that's got to the point now where that's become boring, repetitive, predictable.
Yeah.
It's I watched football last night as well for the first time in a while, and even the pundits, they're just designed now to just pull, rather than talk about a good bit of skill in the game, they'd rather focus on the referee decisions be going wrong, and they're just making it not enjoyable to watch anymore.
Yeah,
and that's a good thing as well. Like understanding that and just thinking, right, get away from that. That's one less thing to worry about.
That's
I'm looking forward now for this phone arriving and just
really interesting. You should say that, because I was listening to a podcast on the way to work last week, and it's called Fern Cotton Happy Place. I don't know if you know much about Fern Cotton. I mean, she was in before she kind of come off TV. She was in Bits and Bob's radio presenter. I always used to watch Celebrity Juice. That's where I'd kind of that's where it triggers the most significant memory of her being on telly. But she's come away from all that now, and she does podcasts. So she does a lot of self evaluation, you know, looking at yourself. She has some fantastic people on her podcasts. And last week, she had a doctor who was talking about all different various things and social influencers. I'd highly recommend it, after watching us, of course. But this doctor basically said that he'd bought a dud phone, you know, a low intelligence phone or something, whatever he called it. And it was just a phone that could make and receive calls. And he was monitoring the effect that would have on his social environment, you know, his social way of communicating, etc. So that was really interesting, really interesting. Now, for those who think, oh, it's Fern Cotton, give it a go. Make it a 1%er. You know, I really would advise and recommend having a look at that. It's free. It's free podcast. Doesn't cost anything, and some really factual, decent information on there. And she suffered with eating disorders. I didn't know that recently. She suffered with anxiety, depression. She's got a couple of kids, so she understands, you know, how stressful that can be. Basically, a real person, as I would say. But yeah, some really fascinating things that she goes into. There's a bit of a crappy advertisement at the start that obviously sponsors her, so she has to reel that off. But once you get past that crappy advert, you know, get into the good stuff. It's really powerful, really powerful. I'd recommend that to anyone that's kind of watching this.
Is that an audio podcast or a video?
It's audio. Yeah, it's audio.
Audio.
Yeah. So that's that's one thing I'd highly recommend. But there's lots of little things and sharing experiences and different things. You've triggered my memory now to go back to the Roaches at some point and make sure that I have that experience again, because that really powerful, really powerful.
It's a brilliant place. I think that's the best place around here, to be honest.
I would agree. Yeah, I would agree. Where you don't necessarily will be disturbed. Yes, you'll see people, but you're not gonna come into any sort of close contact with anyone. So yeah, that's fantastic place. What else is kind of hot topic at the minute?
What in terms of from what we've been talking about?
Yeah. Anything that's been sort of bugging, or have you heard from anyone? Is anyone wanting a bit of advice on anything?
Yeah, I've had a bit of feedback from the videos I've been doing, and I've had people wanting to go into a relationship discussion. I mean, I think that's something for another podcast altogether, really.
Yeah, I think we could be there a while on that one.
yeah, I think we can come back to that on a future date. Yeah, well, I'm just looking forward to. I mean, when you say about that doctor then in Fern's podcast, I went back to, I had like a little pay-as-you-go phone for about 3 years. I found myself being in better social situations having that, because it wasn't pinging every 5 minutes, and you couldn't go out and take a selfie, wherever you were, that kind of thing. And I started noticing like a lot of people were behaving that way, and because I couldn't get involved in that way, because I just had this little, it was like a drug dealer phone, and everyone when they seen it, they used to say, what you're selling type thing, and nothing. I'm just using it to get away from all this. Everyone was on Snapchat at the time, and I just found it was all unnecessary. So I just put it to one side, and then it's probably the best thing I did. I only went back on a smartphone because when I went on the coaches, you needed sat nav and street view and all that kind of thing. Many motorways are closed, you don't know where you're going. So, and yeah, I mean, I needed it for emails, for work and everything, but now I'm not in that job anymore. The phone is unnecessary, really. It's good to, I used it to watch your podcasts on in January and February. And I realised I got a laptop at home. When I get home, I'll spend an hour in front of this. And I'm looking at a bigger screen rather than just staring at this little thing all day.
Yeah.
But I just found myself becoming a lot more antisocial on my phone, or having it with me.
Yeah.
Years ago, and then I went onto the small phone for a bit, and then I went back on the smart one, and now I'm thinking, I could just go back on the brick again. I just got a little brick phone, and it's quite funny because in the description it says it's a mobile phone for the elderly, and I thought, well, that's perfect, So I feel like I'm an old man anyway.
I think there's a lot to be said though. I mean, it is difficult to live without that connection now. People do struggle to put the phone down. I mean, and I'm certainly, if I'm to put my phone down, I really have to mentally concentrate to push it to one side. Or interestingly, on that podcast with the doctor, with Fern Cotton, he recommends not sleeping with your phone. I don't mean literally sleeping with your phone, but what I mean is putting it on charge at the side of your bed, because the temptation is that you wake up in the middle of the night and you're just like, oh, what time is it? Oh, it's 1:10. And then before you know it, you're on Facebook. Before you're on it, you're checking your emails, and then you're awake, and that's really bad for your body. He recommends charging your phone outside of the bedroom. Then some people might say, well, how am I supposed to wake up in the morning? My alarm's on it, and da, 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 da. And I was thinking about this. Yeah. And it's like, put your phone out of the bedroom and potentially, you could buy an old alarm clock or whatever that may be. So yeah, it's an interesting one. It's something certainly that I would have to really work hard on if I chose to do that.
Yeah, it's I've noticed it myself when as you say there, when you wake up in the middle of the night and you go for a walk or something, or even just sliding your phone up and looking, that bright light is waking you up. I don't care who you are, that light's waking you up. And if it starts messing with sleep patterns, then it'll start messing with your what's the word now? You get agitated more.
Yeah.
So you react negatively a lot more than you usually would. If you haven't slept properly through the night. So that's something I've done for a long time, is just swept the phone at bedtime and kept it to one side.
Yeah.
And then as long as I can hear it waking me up in the next room, I'll jump up, grab it, put it on charge, I'll have my shower in the morning and stuff like that.
I think
but I'm at the point now where I'm waking up before the alarm.
Yeah, and that's partly probably because of a result of the fasting. It does help switch your body on a lot better in that sense. But I think this video has covered quite a few bits tonight. There's loads of little things that can help. So we spoke about cold showers, spoke about fasting, spoke about putting your phones to one side, or you don't necessarily have to go to the extreme of buying an elderly phone as you described it, but you don't have to go.
I'm looking forward to it big time.
You don't have to go to the extreme of that, but certainly just being conscious of screen time, the feasted side of things. So looking at don't get yourself into debt for fast food. That just seems wrong on so many levels. So check out Feasted on Facebook, on Insta. They've got a website as well. So if I know they're doing a lot of work with the Stoke-on-Trent community at the minute, where you can buy a meal and you can donate a meal. Donate it through the website. So that's some really good initiative. Growth through lockdown. So what's everyone been doing? Have you used your time wisely, or have you just flitted away and become a couch potato? Either way, if you've used your time really well and you've grown in this time, like me and you got together, got our heads together in this time. So for me, this is growing, this is growth, this is learning about what works, what doesn't work. But if you haven't done that, don't worry. It's not about criticizing. It's about, well, you've got time to do something. We're still in a difficult situation in the country. So from now until May, till June, till things completely open up, what are the 1% things that you're going to do? I know, Dan, you've given a few 1%ers. You've been out to the Roaches. You've, whatever you want to call it, sat and reflected or sat and meditated or whatever that looks like, focusing on them golf shots that are perfect. There's so much content in this video tonight. I'm really surprised, actually, because we were only going to talk about showers and fasting, and it's as always it grows. But I think we'll leave it there for tonight, if that's all right with you. If, as always, if anyone's got any suggestions for, I know you've had a conversation with a friend this week, and you've helped that person understand what the context of the conversation was, and if we want to talk about that next time, all ears. But I think that one might be just a one topic conversation, that one, because it's relationships are notoriously emotive and difficult, and there's lots of different factors into relationships. So if you're happy to leave it there, Dan, unless there's anything else pressing.
I think of just when you said about tonight, just all these like avenues have just opened up from one conversation, it bounces to the next, and I think this is probably a more enjoyable one for people to watch tonight because there's no we don't script stuff anyway, and we have just a little talk, don't we, on what we're going to do beforehand, but with tonight we've just gone all out, and I think it's going to be all right, this one. I'm going to look back in a bit, and I always watch them back before I share them, like, it makes
me, that's good. That's the whole idea of getting our heads together and being watchable, I suppose. You know, it's two lads having a conversation. This doesn't happen enough. We don't talk enough. We don't socially interact enough. We can't physically interact at the minute with people, but certainly it's coming. You know, it is starting to looks like it's getting better. But I hope there's been something in this video for someone who's watching. It won't be everyone's cup of tea, but you know, you never know, and obviously, if it helps one person, then that's fantastic. That is what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So so it's bye from me. Obviously, thank you to Dan again. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sharing. Them cold showers will definitely continue. But thank you very much. If anyone has any comments or wants us to talk about a specific conversation or topic, then just drop us a line, and you know, we will try our best. I'm not saying we're experts in everything or anything, but we will try our best. Okay, take it easy, everyone.
Cheers.